Good Friday morning. Welcome to the Weather Desk. It is Tres de Julio, the 3rd of July, 4th tomorrow. Huge celebrations and a lot of dangerous heat over much of the country. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Welcome to the Weather Desk, where we tackle today's top weather headlines. We're going to take a look. There is a lot to go through. Very 4th of July kind of America celebration-centric Weather Desk here. Well, unfortunately, with the big holiday, so much of the country dealing with this massive and very dangerous heat wave. We're going to talk more about that. We've got a weather impact alert for the dangerous heat right here across Hampton Roads and into North Carolina. What do we typically see in Norfolk for the 4th? One of my colleagues took a look at kind of the typical weather we get. We'll talk about that. We have chances for stray showers and storms coming up over the weekend as well. I'll let you know when. How has weather changed America? All this year, Evan Stewart, one of my other colleagues, has been taking a look at significant weather events that have helped change the course of our history. We've got another great story coming up in today's Weather Desk. Also, NASA was able to launch its mission to save that failing space telescope. There's a telescope that's been up there for quite a long time, and it's starting now to fall back to Earth. There's a mission to catch that thing and give it a push a little higher in orbit and get some more time out of this telescope. We'll let you know how that launch went, where it launched from, kind of an unusual launch location, and we'll talk about what's going with that. Also, I've got your holiday weekend in more detail for Hampton Roads, and we'll look beyond when we might cool down a little bit and when we're going to see more chances for wet weather. So plenty to talk about. We're going to start off, though, taking a look at the temperatures and starting off today's show a lot like I did yesterday, focusing kind of on the national picture. And yesterday's highs, 96 in St. Louis, 95 in Chicago. Combined with humidity, it felt well over 100 in these locations, 98 in Atlanta. They reached 100 in New York, the warmest it's been in parts of New York City since 2012. It's been a long time. So a lot of heat up in that part of the country, and there is more to come today. Take a look at the highs forecast. 102 for D.C., 103 in New York today. Louisville in the mid-90s, upper 90s, Kansas City and Memphis. More heat for Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Houston. This has been a dangerously hot stretch, and it's going to roll right into the weekend for us here along the East Coast. So let's talk some more about this dangerous heat wave bearing down on the East Coast. Record-breaking temperatures are straining the power grid and even prompting some communities to cancel or alter their July 4th celebrations. Reed Binion reports.
It sucks today. It's terrible.
Residents in New York among millions of people on the East Coast sweltering in brutal, relentless heat.
It's super hot. It's super hot in the house. Not happening.
On Thursday, Central Park got hotter than it's been on that date in 6 decades. The mercury hit 100 degrees, tying the daily record high for that location set in 1966. The intense heat also straining the power grid. According to Con Edison's outage map, more than 19,000 customers in New York City were without power Thursday evening.
Everything almost melted. Fridge, not working. More dark. It's so hot, and people don't want to come in here.
Not all outages were heat-related, but the loss of power left many without air conditioning at the worst possible time. New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani asked residents to set their ACs to 78 degrees and unplug appliances to help save electricity. The Department of Energy also taking action, ordering Mid-Atlantic data centers to switch to backup generators instead of using electricity from the public grid. There's also been a very real impact on safety in many areas, including Pennsylvania, where police say upwards of 100 people were treated for heat-related injuries at an event in Berks County. Dozens were hospitalized. In Philadelphia, officials declared a heat health emergency as that city hit a daily high 103 degrees Thursday, tying the record set in 1901. It's one of multiple cities in the region either canceling or altering July 4th festivities due to the heat. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
so many outdoor activities planned for the weekend. We do need to keep a close eye to the dangers here associated with the heat. You'll notice that we have a good section of the central U.S. under this extreme heat warning. We're going to see here in Hampton Roads our entire viewing area north of the Albemarle Sound, and aside from the Outer Banks, everybody else under extreme heat warning as well. Kansas City, St. Louis, southern Illinois, across Indiana and Ohio. This area under extreme heat warning has pushed a little farther south. Remember, it extended farther north yesterday, so they are getting a little bit of relief there, but so much of the country still hot. Obviously, we just told you about the celebrations in Philly and New York, up towards Boston. Sweltering heat, extreme heat warning still in place there. D.C., Baltimore, and down here into Hampton Roads. Now the entire area, Eastern Shore, all of Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina, the Outer Banks under heat advisory and an extreme heat watch south of the Albemarle Sound. So we're dealing with the heat here in Hampton Roads with this dangerous heat wave. We're still looking at feels like temperatures, as you will see, 105 to 112 through the afternoon, and I think several hours up around 110, 111. It is going to be a serious situation. You've got to take breaks from the heat as you are able. In addition to that, we actually have a storm chance coming up a little bit later on. We're going to talk more about that as well. For those feels like temperatures, up around 106 at noon, 109 by 1, and then 111, 112. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. This is going to be a brutally hot afternoon. All right, tomorrow, not much relief. In fact, we're going to be right back up there again, 111, maybe 112. Those are in 2-hour blocks, but you can see that heat continuing through our day on Saturday. There will be a chance for a few stray showers or storms later Saturday, and with that, maybe a little bit of relief temporarily. Now, Saturday's hot. Sunday, again, upper 90s. We'll be back into the mid-90s by Monday, and then closer to average, which is 89. I think we'll be right around 90 for Wednesday and Thursday. A little warmer Friday, and then back close to average the following weekend. We're obviously in summer. It's very hot, but these record highs, nothing to play with here. We really need folks to take it easy. Remember these important heat safety tips. I ran through these yesterday. If you caught the weather desk, want to mention again. Reduce or reschedule your outdoor activities, the most physically stressful ones in the afternoon. Don't mess around with that. Wear light-colored, loose-fitting clothing when you are outside. Drink plenty of water and find air conditioning whenever you are able. So important. Again, we want everybody to be very, very careful. So here's our 4th of July holiday weekend highs, upper 90s today, tomorrow, and Sunday. We've got a chance for thunderstorms. I'm going to have a lot more on that severe weather outlook across the region. You might be wondering, what kind of weather do we usually see on the 4th of July? We're going to have that coming up. Plus, a look at how people are beating the heat at the Great American State Fair in Washington, D.C. Welcome back. All right, so we're talking about the heat going into that break. I told you it is going to be extremely hot for the 4th of July. In fact, we may find this weekend, tomorrow's 4th of July for Norfolk, being the hottest on record. So you know it's going to be dangerously hot, but what kind of weather does this region typically see on the 4th of July? Meteorologist Hunter Forrest has a look at the data.
As we count down to Independence Day, let's take a look at what July 4th typically brings us here in Hampton Roads. On average, we top out in the upper 80s, which is pretty comfortable for backyard barbecues and fireworks, but the hottest July 4th on record came back in 1997, when the temperature soared to 98 degrees. But on the flip side, back in 1962, the high temperature only reached 68 degrees, making for a very chilly Independence Day. Overnight temperatures usually settle near 72 degrees, but the coolest July 4th morning happened in 1892 when temperatures dipped all the way to 59 degrees. And while we all hope for sunshine, Mother Nature doesn't always cooperate. The wettest Independence Day on record was in 1981 when 2.73 inches of rain fell, putting a damper on all the holiday celebrations. So whether it's hot, cool, or a little soggy, one thing is certain: July 4th weather has a history of keeping us on our toes. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forrest.
And we're certainly going to be on our toes this year as there is that chance for thunderstorms. Let's talk about severe weather chances across the country. We'll start off by taking a look at the radar and the satellite images, and you can see across the north central U.S. that's where we're dealing with the showers and thunderstorms. Parts of Nebraska, across Iowa, back across South Dakota as well, some pretty intense rainfall. We've seen some warnings early this morning. There's some flood advisories and a flood warning in central Iowa. Right now, no active severe thunderstorm warnings that I see on the map, so a little bit of a break, but this area under a level 3 or enhanced risk for severe storms, Nebraska into western Iowa. The slight risk extends all the way over to the Jersey Shore, and the primary threats are going to be, again, some stronger wind gusts. There might be some hail from Iowa back across Nebraska and into South Dakota. And then there's also that tornadic threat. It's not great, but it is slightly elevated across southern South Dakota, Nebraska, and into western Iowa. As we take a look ahead to tomorrow, this is where it gets more interesting for us here in the Mid-Atlantic. Still a slight risk out there around the Denver area east, back across western Nebraska and Kansas, but I really want to focus on our area here in Norfolk, the northern parts of the area. This is for tomorrow, Saturday afternoon. Eastern Shore, Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, South Side, Hampton Roads, basically Portsmouth, Northern Suffolk, and areas west under this slight risk, level 2 for strong to severe storms tomorrow afternoon. For Northern Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk, and areas down across southern Suffolk, this area a level 1 or marginal risk. Notice D.C. right in the heart of that slight risk area. Again, we could see some stronger storms anywhere in this area shaded in yellow. The primary threat will be winds. We're not really looking at tornadic development or large hail, not in this part of the country tomorrow, but some gusty, damaging winds. That is a potential with the strongest storms. As we look ahead to Sunday, some more rough weather. So while we're not only dealing with heat now as we get into the 4th of July weekend, some areas are going to have to keep a close eye to the radar, and that does include Washington, D.C., where they're celebrating America's 250th birthday with the Great American State Fair in D.C. And with a report on that, here's Felicia Ashley.
The heat is not something that can be avoided at the Great American State Fair. What you will find is a consistent flow of water to provide some relief. Even with the weight of the thick air and sun, the weather did not stop families from waiting in line, seeing the sights, or taking in moments that 7-year-old Kevin Atala says he'll never forget.
We had the nice surprise that the Thunderbirds were flying over, which is one of his favorite things.
You love the Thunderbirds?
That was a nice surprise.
Oh my God, what was that like to see them?
It was really cool. I thought it was just, they didn't do an air show, they were just practicing, but it was like having a free air show.
I love that. And it's a little bit hot outside. I have sweat, I see a little sweat. How are you guys handling the heat?
We're from Florida.
So we're used to it.
7-year-old Fletcher Taman and his family were in matching bucket hats. Fletcher tells me he has his eyes set on the Ferris wheel. How have you been dealing with the heat?
Yeah, it feels like 70 degrees.
It feels sunny outside?
Yeah.
But have you been staying cool though?
No.
The good news here on the National Mall between the Lincoln Memorial and the Capitol building is relief from the sun and heat is just steps away inside these exhibits. We didn't spot any of the designated cool-off zones we've heard about, but there's a lot of shade in the picnic areas, and the water stations are set up all over.
And again, we're going to be watching very carefully for some of those storms on top of the heat and the humidity. I want to quickly mention we do have that severe storm threat for Hampton Roads, as I just showed you before that story. From 4 to 9 o'clock Saturday, we do have an opportunity for some isolated strong to severe storms, especially northern and western parts of the area. It does look like things that pop up will likely dissipate before the fireworks at 9:30, but there's that potential for some damaging wind gusts if we get some stronger storms. We will, of course, watch that for you and keep you updated. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our How Weather Changed America series, how one discovery on the 4th of July 250 years ago helped lay the groundwork for modern meteorology. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. We're wrapping up our How Weather Changed America series with the story from Independence Day itself. It's a quieter piece of the 4th of July history, not about the vote, the speeches, or the fireworks, but about one small observation that connects the birth of the nation to the roots of modern meteorology. Here's Evan Stewart.
When we think of July 4th, 1776, we think of the Declaration of Independence, the Continental Congress, and the birth of a new nation. But that same day also gives us one of the earliest weather snapshots in American history. Thomas Jefferson, the principal author of the Declaration, was also a dedicated weather observer. While in Philadelphia, Jefferson began his first surviving weather diary on July 1st, 1776. Then on July 4th, he bought a thermometer. That means on the same day America adopted the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson was also taking the temperature of a new nation. His records show a comfortable summer day in Philadelphia by today's standards, 68 degrees at 6 o'clock in the morning, 76 by early afternoon, and 73.5 degrees by that evening. Of course, there was no modern forecasting technology, but Jefferson understood something that remains at the heart of meteorology today. Weather science begins with observation. And that makes this a fitting final chapter to my Weather Changed America series. From storms and floods, fires and historic battles, to one founding father's thermometer, America's weather story has always started the same way, by watching the sky, writing it down, and learning from what happens next.
Really cool stuff. Love that series, Evan. All right, we're looking live outside. It's already shaping up to be a hot holiday weekend. We're feeling it at this hour, and it's just going to get worse through the afternoon. What you can expect over the 4th of July. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I want to update you on the tropics, and fortunately in the Atlantic things are still relatively quiet. We're getting into that period now that we're into July. We're done with the first month. Came through in pretty good shape here in the Atlantic. As we look forward, of course, the busy months, August, September, and into October. Right now we're in good shape, and there is more Saharan dust set to come across the main development region into the Caribbean and even the Gulf. So really at this point, no tropical activity is expected over the next 7 days. All that's looking good. This is what's left of Douglas, a post-tropical system. There is one other area that has a 20% chance of development to the south of what was Douglas. So we'll watch this. It's not of tremendous concern at this point. You can see this is a strong typhoon, Bavi, and I'm taking you over here to the western part of the Pacific, not to show you this typhoon that may become a super typhoon. I want to focus on the Marshall Islands because we have an update from NASA. A mission to stop an aging space telescope from crashing back down to Earth has officially begun. This morning, a 3-armed spacecraft blasted off from those small islands, the Marshall Islands in the Pacific, and it is headed towards the Swift Observatory. The Swift Observatory launched back in 2004, but is sinking faster than ever due to recent solar storms. NASA is now paying $30 million to prevent it from falling back to Earth. The spacecraft that launched today will capture the telescope and boost its orbit so it can continue its work in space. The spacecraft should get there in about a month. All right, now we're going to get back to our local forecast and take a look again. Yesterday's high 94, 89 is normal. As we go through the day, we're already seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Close to average. We're going to easily eclipse that. Even by lunchtime, we're going to be in the low to mid 90s and then upper 90s this afternoon. Basically, a lot of sunshine today as we head through the overnight skies, mainly clear for your Saturday. We start off the 4th of July very hot. It's going to be hot again. Temperatures in the upper 90s to triple digits. This is a look at the futurecast based on the graph model. You'll notice how it popped a little shower here. That's not a real big deal. When I came in early on this Thursday morning at about 3:30 in the morning, this model was rocking some more thunderstorms developing north and west. You can see the updated graph backed off. But don't drop your guard on that storm chance, because this is the HRRR model. Look at how it still develops big areas of showers and storms, isolated to scattered during the afternoon. The NAM, some of the other high-def models also showing that same trajectory. The NAM 3K and the GFS, they're showing those chances for storms. So we need to be mindful of it. No doubt it's going to be very humid over the coming week. Temperatures will ease a little bit back closer to normal as we get into the middle of next week. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this Birthday America edition of the Weather Desk. Have a great weekend and be safe out there. We'll see you next time.